Welcome back. Now, Budget, a civic tech organization, has expressed concern at the country's performance in the 2023 Open Budget Survey conducted by the International Budget Partnership, where the country scored lower than the global average of 45 out of 100 in the Open Budget Index, ranking below Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Sierra Leone, and Benin. Now, according to the 2023 survey, despite a 24% global increase in transparency, Nigeria scored 31 out of 100 in transparency, 19 out of 100 in public participation, and 61 out of 100 in institutional oversight. Budget says Nigeria's disappointing performance is primarily due to the government's failure to promptly publish in-year reports and media reviews online and adopt innovative public participation practices. Now, the development comes despite President Bola Tinubu's efforts to boost fiscal transparency. Reacting to the survey, Nigeria's country manager of International Budget Partnership, Olayinka Babalola, says Nigeria's scores in the OBS 2023 survey provides a unique opportunity to identify areas for improvement and reflect on how the government can build on the gains made in previous years to make budgetary processes more transparent and participatory while increasing oversight on how public funds are raised and spent. Joining me now to discuss this is Babalola herself, who is a country manager for Nigeria. That's the International Budget Partnership. She joins us from Abuja. Olayinka, thank you very much for your time and thanks for coming on the show. Let me start by asking, let's start from the good thing that Nigeria would appear to have done in the 2023 index now, getting 61% in terms of institutional oversight. That must be something very positive. So let's start from there. What exactly did we do right to earn us this high score, if you like, even though some would say 61 is not so fantastic, but then it's something good.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. So like you said, we're discussing the Open Budget Survey, which is the flagship product of the International Budget Partnership. It's a survey that we produce every 2 years. It's a biennial survey. And essentially, we are looking at ways in which government has been improving in terms of governance and being accountable to the citizens by looking at 3 indicators, which you have mentioned. So transparency, participation of the public in the budget process from start to finish, and then oversight. So narrowing down to the oversight issue, essentially in that particular measure, we're looking at legislative oversight. So essentially how the legislative arm of government oversees the budget process. And of course, that legislative oversight, it occurs right from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. And then when we talk about the other angle, it's looking at what the Supreme Audit Institution, in Nigeria's case, that's the Office of the Auditor General, does in terms of producing audit reports. That's at the end of the year, after all the spending has been done. The Supreme Audit Institution is expected to produce a report which is available to the public and which is also presented to the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly, who ask questions on, what are the areas where, for example, there have been irregularities or infractions, and then a plan is developed to correct those. Now, as you mentioned, Nigeria had maintained that level. So we got 61 in the previous round of the survey in 2021, and we maintained that at 61. And that's mainly because of, the work that the National Assembly does in terms of its oversight functions. Unfortunately, if you look at the audit end of it, the most recent audit report we have is for 2020. And so there's still a lot more work to be done there. So although we got a score which is considered adequate in terms of how the survey is rated, we still have much work to do in terms of improving our oversight functions. Thank you.
So this is obviously some kind of credit now. I'm still talking about that 61%. This is some kind of credit now for the national legislature that at least to some extent their oversight has been, maybe not to use the word fantastic, but then has been quite good.
Yes, but even with that, there is still room for improvement. So for example, if we look at the participation angle, what tends to happen in Nigeria is that CSOs are called in at the start of the process. So typically when the what we call the pre-budget document is being prepared, that's the medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper, usually the minister will present that to the public and CSOs participate. Also, when the budget proposal is presented and even when the budget is enacted, there's a presentation by the minister. But then as we move into implementation, we see that that public participation tends to reduce. And that's when the National Assembly tends to do a lot of oversight work. So for example, if there's a public hearing for maybe a particular ministry or generally by the joint finance or appropriations committees, many times the public doesn't get adequate notice of those hearings to be able to prepare, because the idea is not just that you bring people into a room and then they just listen to the executive and legislative just exchanging ideas. You want the public to also be able to make contributions to that process, because the budget is for the people of Nigeria. So there's room to actually, increase public participation at every step of the process, right down to the audit process as well.
And it's actually the reason why Nigeria scored just 19 out of 100 when it comes to participation in the budgetary process.
Exactly. We need to do so much more work there. So I have to say that public participation is actually a global problem, because the global average, according to the survey, is 15. So Nigeria even performed a little higher than the global average, but still the 19 out of 100 is still quite low. And so, like I said, we shouldn't see public participation as just a box-ticking exercise, just to be able to say, oh, we have invited this and this civil society organization. They need to be involved in the process. We need to seek their active input into the process, because the budget is supposed to serve all of us, and it's supposed to be able to provide goods and services that Nigerians really need and want.
Transparency is a very big deal, and when there's no transparency now in the budgetary process, I mean, such a budget would lack, if you like, confidence and believability and what have you. Mm-hmm. And in this case, Nigeria is scoring 31 out of 100. Certainly, that's not too good. What exactly is wrong here? What is the country not doing right?
Yeah, so if you look at previous years, you see that over the years, Nigeria had actually been improving in terms of transparency. So we hit a high in 2021, scoring 45, but unfortunately, the scores declined to 31 in 2023. And what we found is that this decline was mainly due to documents not being published on time on the government website. So for the transparency measure, we look at 8 key budget documents that the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning and the Budget Office should make available to the public. So for the transparency score, we're looking at, first of all, the availability of the document online, the timeliness of making the document available, and then the comprehensiveness. So that's the amount of information that is contained in the document. So this time around, what happened was that the in-year reports, which are the budget implementation reports, were not submitted in time to be able to count towards the survey. And so these reports are actually produced, and so all we need to do is ensure that they are placed online in time to be counted towards the survey. And I should also mention that, a lot of our public finance activities are guided by national laws. We have the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and that act requires that those reports, the in-year reports, should get to the Budget Office website a month after the completion of a quarter. And the requirement for the Open Budget Survey is actually 3 months. So that means that the requirements of the Open Budget Survey are less stringent. So I believe that these are areas that we can actually improve on in the short to medium term, because this is something that government has been doing consistently for a while.
Now, let me even ask you, are you doing something at all? I mean, apart from national budgets now, Are you doing something at all about state budgets, especially for a country, Nigeria? Because these state budgets are also very important, or you're just concentrated on national budgets?
Yeah, so right now we only concentrate on national budgets because, you know, the Open Budget Survey is a worldwide survey. It covers, this round of the survey covered 125 countries. So you can imagine the volume of work involved if we were going to go to the subnational level for every single country that participates in the survey. But then what we have noticed is that, especially in the case of Nigeria, other organizations have taken up the survey, the methodology, and have applied it to the subnational level. So for example, there's a subnational survey that is produced by some civil society organizations that work in the PFM space. And then also, I'm sure you're aware that Budget also produces a report, the State of States. And Budget acted as the reviewer for the Open Budget Survey, and they've been working with us as a technical partner. So they've taken some of our methodology as well and applied it. So although we are not looking at the subnational level, some of our partners are doing this in Nigeria already.
Oh, okay, finally now, overall, what do you think needs to be done to improve our budgetary processes? Of course, especially along these lines that were mentioned in the Open Budget Survey now, issue of transparency, participation, and of course institutional oversight. For instance, 61, as we have said, is good, but then there's still much work to be done.
Yes. So I think it's important that every arm of government takes seriously the duty that they're undertaking on behalf of Nigerians, because essentially, like I said before, the budget is for every Nigerian. So they've been given the responsibility of managing our public resources that we contribute to through our taxes, through our labor, which, you know, results in company profits, through the natural resources that is our commonwealth. And so this is a huge responsibility they've been given. And if you recognize that you're doing this on behalf of the people of Nigeria, it would be in the interest of government to want to know our opinion on how those resources should be utilized. So I think, you know, increasing our score, and not just our score in terms of, you know, improving our score on the budget, on the Open Budget Survey, but doing this will actually be a win-win for everyone. Because we have found out that countries that have more transparent and open budgets, they tend to attract more foreign direct investment. They tend to attract more donor aid because, you know, a lot of external partners coming into the country, they need something to tell them whether this is a good environment to invest in or this is a good country to partner with. And so the openness of our budget is an indication of that. So I believe that it's a win-win for everyone, and this is something that the government and civil society organizations as well should take seriously going forward.
Absolutely. Country Manager for Nigeria International Budget Partnership, Olayinka Babalola, thank you very much for coming on the show, and thanks for your insights there.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Appreciate it. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.